Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. On this week's show, DC Studios is firing on all guns, Star Wars is getting lost with Damon Lindeloff, Nicolas Cage seems poised to make a big Hollywood return or two, and Marvel drops a very festive and a very teeny trailer that's sure to get MCU fans excited, and we have our MCU Marvel expert on the program to break those down. Join us as we discuss all this and everything else that happened this week in Geek.
Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hello, my name is Kev, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, toys and collectibles, gaming, and all things Geekcentric. We're back with another edition of This Week in Geek, where we look at all the latest news and trailers from the Geekiverse. Of course, I can't do this alone. Joining me on the show, there's not 6 degrees of separation between us, because he's not Kevin Bacon. When he says he knows his Marvel shit, he's definitely not faking. What is up, Darcy? How are you this evening?
I'm doing good. Earlier today, we just recorded Tales of the Jedi review, which fun series there, definitely worth checking out. So, ready to talk some more Marvel-centric stuff this time.
Yes, but you always have a good time talking Star Wars or Marvel, and you know your stuff, as I said on the intro there. So,
oh yeah, I'm totally again not much to break down from these trailers, but what I do have, it got my speculating brain going to wild places. So I can't really wait to share my thoughts with you guys.
Excellent. Okay, because I have a few questions, so hopefully you can sort of answer them for us as we break that trailer down a little. But before that, it is the best week of the year, at least according to my wife and myself. It's Halloween time. We are pretty much a week out from the big day as of this recording, which means we're getting ready. We're getting into that planning and it's go time, basically. We got to go get some pumpkins, which we'll carve up the day before, and then the big decoration and everything on the night itself. Now, how about you? I know you're not the biggest Halloween fan, but is there anything about this time of the year that you do enjoy?
I mean, I'm a big fall guy. I don't really, not much for Halloween, but this is my favorite time of year where it's the perfect temperature to go out, go for a walk. You're not dying in the sun. It's got a nice cool breeze. You can get some beautiful days like the past few we've had here in the Toronto area. So, I mean, I just love fall. Fall is fun.
I can dig that 100%. As a big guy myself, I do like sweater weather where I don't need to bundle into a big jacket, but I can wear a sweater and be comfortable. And you're right, the fall leaves are always wonderful. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the weather. We've had an amazing last week here. I really hope that the weather gods themselves saved us one day. Because there's nothing worse than waking up on Halloween and it's cold and it's rainy and, you don't want to spend all night outside and, the kids probably won't as well. So here's hoping for, again, just one more really nice night.
I'm praying for you too, because I know how elaborate you guys set up the front of your house. So I want people to be able to come and see it.
Well, yeah, we're loaded up with 140 full-size chocolate bars. I'm convinced it's way too many. My wife is convinced it's not enough. Hopefully it's somewhere in the middle there. There was one year.
Left over.
Well, we don't want too many left over. Now that we're back on the Weight Watchers train, we don't need too many of those left over. But we certainly hope to avoid a situation like we had a couple years ago where the first year of the pandemic, we had 5 visitors, 5 total people. And so the next year we thought, is it going to be a repeat? So we were underprepared. We were literally handing out Ziploc bags of like saltine crackers, toonies and loonies, just anything we could. Here's a couple AA batteries. Like, I don't know. We were just desperate. But because we had done the setup and people, had recognized it from years past, we actually had some word of mouth visitors. People were traveling from across Richmond Hill to come check it out. And so we got caught a little off guard, but never again. We're definitely a little bit more prepared this year. But I think we should move right into the news because there's some interesting stories and some have a lot to do with what we were talking about last week on This Week in Geek. So let's move right ahead and jump into the news.
It's all about the details.
All right, our first story comes from my buddy, just because I seem to use one of his articles every week. So my good friend Boris Kitt at The Hollywood Reporter, according to him, the hierarchy of power in the DC universe really is changing. In a stunning turn of events, filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran have been tapped to lead DC's film, TV, and animation efforts as co-chairs and co-CEOs of DC Studios, a newly formed division at Warner Bros. That will replace DC Films. The unprecedented move, in which a top director will assume a top executive post, marks the end of a months-long search by Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav to replace DC Films boss Walter Hamada, who departed the studio last week. And so, Darsh, we kind of talked about how Hamada was stepping down, and in that wake, it looked like some people were who had a few arguments with him in terms of a certain return of a certain caped superhero. That really does feel like that was the beginning of the end for Hamada's role within Warner Brothers and with DC. And so now it looks like the search had all of Hollywood guessing and playing executive bingo for who would land one of the most coveted and challenging jobs in town. And it looks like it will be James Gunn. We had talked about James having at least one or two secret movies that he was sort of trying to develop with DC, in addition to his work on the Suicide Squad and then the Peacemaker TV show. But it looks like he's going to have a much larger role now. This is kind of what we've been saying on this program alone for years, is that they needed that singular creative vision to really lead the way.
Yeah, it totally feels like when I saw this news announcement, all I could think of was that DC found their Favreau and Filoni in the producer and filmmaker team up almost. Because Filoni for Star Wars is the creative mind driving all these new projects, and Favreau is the one kind of financially shaping that for the future. And it feels like they're doing very much the same thing with this pairing here. Because, I mean, James Gunn is known for his incredible character work, and I'm hopeful that we'll see an ongoing arc for some of these characters that we haven't really gotten much for in the DC.
You know, I really couldn't agree with you more, because I do think that is what DC has been missing all this time, is just there were too many cooks in the kitchen. There were too many different ideas, and they never had this cohesive sort of vision for what they wanted to get out of these characters. So even just going back to the article here, it continues saying, unlike Marvel Studios, DC has multiple films set in separate creative universes. And according to sources, Joker filmmaker Todd Phillips' work on the upcoming sequel, which goes into production later this year, will not fall under Gunn and Safran's purview, and instead will be overseen by producers of that film originally. And then you also have Matt Reeves, who worked under the former CEO Hamada. He has a budding universe based on his Batman movie, and so it's unclear under whose purview Reeves' future projects would fall, but everything else moving forward would be under Gunn and Safran. And I think even if that's the case, I think that really works. Joker's sort of its own thing. We know that it's not going to interact with Matt Reeves' Batman, and it's not going to interact with, I don't know if we'll ever see Batfleck back again, but I don't think that Joker is in the same universe as Black Adam and Superman. But I do like the idea that even if Matt Reeves is sort of a separate cinematic universe, and based on the plans we talked about last week with multiple villain movies and TV shows, it sounds like that can survive as its own thing. But then everything else under that one umbrella of James Gunn and Safran, I think is the way to go for DC to just sort of get some semblance of organization and a singular creative vision, I think, is what they really need.
100%. Again, you said too many cooks in the kitchen was the problem with the last slate of DC movies and shelved ones and all that stuff. So, yeah, again, I really think that this is a good move in terms of one creative force driving this storytelling universe.
Well, only time will tell what does in fact happen, but this is the most confident I've been in DC in quite a while. I think this is James Gunn's the right guy to do it, and I think his passion wasn't just for Marvel characters. He has a really great understanding of comic book characters and the way those worlds should work and the way those characters should be adapted and treated on the big screen. So yeah, I think this is exciting, and while so many times it looked like, oh no, DC stumbles again. DC, are they going to have to scrap it all? Are they going to have to go back to square one? I think if anybody can sort of go, listen, here's what we have that's working. Let's build off of that and keep going to keep at least some familiarity with characters and stories with the audience instead of a fresh whole retooling of it all.
I mean, it's going to be sad to see him go because I don't think Marvel properties going forward will be, James Gunn driven, unfortunately. But again, it has me hopeful for DC movies coming forward.
Absolutely. So here's something you don't hear on Geekcentric very often. We're looking forward to the future of DC. Well done, James Gunn. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, well, here's a story from a franchise that I'm always excited to talk about. The story comes from Richard Fink at Screen Rant. Damon Lindelof's Star Wars movie story details have reportedly been revealed. A new report hints that Damon Lindelof's Star Wars movie will take place after The Rise of Skywalker and could feature some returning characters. Shortly after it was announced that Damon Lindeloff was writing a new Star Wars movie, new details about the project have been released. Following the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker in December 2019, Lucasfilm has struggled to get a new Star Wars movie off the ground. While Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron was set for release in December 2023, the film was taken off the release schedule due to creative differences. It was recently confirmed that Lost creator Damon Lindeloff was working on a new Star Wars film for Lucasfilm. Lindeloff and Lucasfilm brought on Miss Marvel director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy to help usher the project in. No details were revealed regarding the film, but many assume Disney and Lucasfilm were aiming to have the movie ready for release in December 2025, as they have already set a date aside for a Star Wars movie. More details regarding Lindelof's upcoming Star Wars project have been revealed, as The Hollywood Reporter mentions that Lindelof's story would reportedly take place after The Rise of Skywalker, but it's not a continuation of the Skywalker saga. The article mentions the upcoming movie could feature some returning characters from the sequel trilogy, and though intended as a standalone story, the door's open for more movies if it is a hit with critics and audiences. While Lucasfilm's original plan was to develop new trilogies, it appears the studio is focusing on standalone projects. That line right there makes me very happy. Instead of going into, because I mean they had these ideas for these big trilogies without finding stories that warranted them. And so I like this idea that they're going to take each movie as a standalone production, and if it works with audiences and there's more stories worth telling, they can continue on those. But so what do you think of a Star Wars movie set after The Rise of Skywalker? And are there characters from that trilogy that you'd like to see going forward?
Yeah, before we get into that, I just want to say, like you said, the fact that it's standalone projects, that makes me think that was what Star Wars originally was. It was just Star Wars, one movie, and they were just seeing if it was going to go over well, and then the explosion afterward was completely unprecedented. So, I mean, thinking of it that way, I'm hopeful that these new movies might have more, but I'm also glad that they're going to be standalone and self-contained. Now, as for characters I'd love to see returning from Rise of Skywalker, because I am stoked to explore more of this new timeline. I'm always interested to see where or what's next for Star Wars, and this is really a new frontier in that we haven't heard stories from this point of view yet. They've kind of been focusing on the middle era of Star Wars. So I'm really looking forward to what to come. I'd love to see DJ. Personally, Benicio del Toro's DJ was one of my favorite parts of The Last Jedi, and I was sad to see him go so quickly. So I'd love to have him come back in some shady form or something like that.
I like that because he was certainly interesting. The storyline he was involved in was certainly frustrating.
Awful storyline.
But the character I think has lots of potential, and I could see him coming in down the road and being an important player. You've got Oscar Isaac and John Boyega, who've pretty much gone on the record saying they're done with Star Wars for at least the near future. But there are plenty of characters that we could see. You could see Rey attempting to rebuild the Jedi Order. Some people have suggested maybe we'll see Rose Tico, who was sort of pushed to the side for that third movie. Maybe we'll see what she's doing after the events of Rise of Skywalker. But no, I agree with you, Darce, that this is an interesting era to explore because there's nothing. After Rise of Skywalker, there is nothing at all. And so it's boundless potential. I mean, what they're doing right now with Andor set in between the prequel and the original trilogy is great. And then you've obviously got Mandalorian, which is sort of taking place around the Jedi time of the Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy. Yeah, like you said, this is unprecedented. They could do anything with the story. They're not confined. And so, yeah, it'll be kind of exciting to see how they explore what happens once most of the Jedi are gone and the Emperor's gone, and what happens to the galaxy at that point.
Because there's this power vacuum. There's going to be some new baddie from outside the rims that we know in Star Wars. So again, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this is going to be a really cool door-opening movie that will start exploring a really new timeline in Star Wars, and that anything is possible, because nothing has been set in stone yet.
Yeah, and so maybe with that, what you do is you set it so far that it's beyond any of the characters from that trilogy, at least any of the human characters. Maybe you use a droid like BB-8 or Dio to have that sort of continuity stream run through it. But yeah, and that way, you could sort of have them some projection tell a story or something about Rey setting up this new Jedi order that's very new in the beginning, and then, like you said, this big baddie that we've never seen or met comes in, and it all starts from there. I think that'd be really, really cool. So yeah, exciting news from Star Wars in the regard of new content, not I mean, while I'm enjoying Andor and stuff, it's still a prequel, and so anytime we get a fresh story, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not some sort of Star Wars purgatory the whole time, I'm happy.
There we go. Hey, rewatch Lost. It's not quite what people remember it as. The story was much better than I remember it as after I did a rewatch a couple years ago. So, but I agree. Yeah, it was not all a dream, hopefully, in that regard. Although I'm sure some people would like that last trilogy to have all been a dream and to see some better stories. So
there was good moments in that trilogy. I take what I can from things. Even if it's bad, I'll still find something to like about it because it's Star Wars.
Fair enough. I thought it ended on a great note for me. But that if people thought the prequel trilogy divided the Star Wars community, that sequel trilogy is just as guilty. Boy, oh boy. Well, speaking of sequels, why don't we move into our final story of the day here? This comes from Jeremy Dick at Movie Web. Nicolas Cage is in talks to return for sequels to Face Off and National Treasure, as fans may soon see the actor revisiting two of his most popular career roles, Castor Troy and Benjamin Franklin Gates. Progress appears to be moving forward on the upcoming Nick Cage sequels. On Tuesday, a report noted that Nick Cage had been in very high demand for action movie roles since appearing in the acclaimed drama Pig. Of all movies that were going to relaunch Nicolas Cage's career, who would have thought it would have been his movie that was loosely based off Taken, but with a pig? The report notes that in addition to this career renaissance landing him movies like the upcoming horror comedy Renfield, Cage is also in various stages of discussion to return for sequels to some of his other hit films from years past. Along with a possible return to National Treasure franchise, Cage is also said to be in talks for Face Off 2. Last year, it was reported that Godzilla vs. Kong helmer Adam Wingard would be directing a new Face Off movie. The filmmaker has since clarified that the film is being developed as a direct sequel to the first movie, but it has since been unclear if Cage will be coming back alongside John Travolta. While Travolta has been silent on the situation, Cage bluntly said in a Reddit AMA in April, which everyone should check out because it was absolutely awesome. In that AMA, he said he would return to the role of Castor Troy, noting that the original film is his favorite action movie. He said, Face Off is my favorite action movie, largely because we had the maestro John Woo to direct. In June, director Wingard said of the screenplay co-written with Simon Barrett that they're really honing in on the script. We're not going to share it with everybody. We're not going to share it until everybody's like, yep, this is the one. I think we got it. And it's probably been the most challenging script we've ever worked on for a lot of reasons. There's so much pressure in wanting to make sure that it lives up to the legacy of that project, but every draft you have these things that just click and you're like, that's what Face Off is all about. And then as for the future of Cage in National Treasure, it also seems unclear as the story will continue in a spin-off series coming soon to Disney Plus called National Treasure: Edge of History. The series features Lizette Alexis in the lead role, and though it's set in the same universe, there hasn't been any indication of Cage making an appearance to reprise his role as Ben Franklin Gates. However, Jerry Bruckheimer did tease in August that National Treasure 3 could still be happening. They just hope that they can find the right script and that hopefully Cage will like it enough. So, Darce, I'm not sure if you're a big Face-Off fan, that early 90s action flick.
That's actually one of the few Cage movies I haven't gotten around to seeing yet. I mean, he has a massive catalog of films, and I've seen probably some of the worst ones from it, but I haven't gotten around to Face Off for some reason.
And so many people will tell you that's their favorite, because that is almost the birth of loony, zany Nick Cage. People love that one. So it's definitely worth checking out. Travolta's great in it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely worth checking out. And if there's a second one coming out, I think I'll be even more inclined to add that to my watch list sooner rather than later.
And I'm kind of, it's been so long since I've actually seen it. So, a sequel would certainly be a great reason to revisit it. I'm just trying to remember how it ends, and I'm not sure if it ended well for Nick Cage's character. So I'm really curious about how they're going to pull this off, if it does end how I remember it. But again, I'm a little foggy on the details, so we'll have to see there. But more than Face Off 2, National Treasure 3, yes, please, all day long. I love the National Treasure movies. I'm definitely going to watch this show, but without Benjamin Franklin Gates, I just don't know how much they'll really snag me in terms of attention, but we'll just have to see there. But, oh, man, National Treasure 3, yes, please.
Yeah, I'd 100% be on board for that because it was so fun. I love that it was a fun adventure puzzle movie set in American history, and it's just like, yes, everything about this, yes. It worked so well. Give me more.
Absolutely. Well, did you hear that, Jerry? Did you hear that, Nick? We want more, so please make it happen. But like I said, I guess in the meantime, we do have National Treasure, Edge of History, coming soon to Disney+, possibly a show that we will cover right here on the Geekcentric podcast, so definitely keep your eyes and ears open. We'll maybe drop you a few clues that you'll have to decipher about whether that's coming or not. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the news today. So it's time to cue the banjo because
It's trailer time.
Alrighty, well, we've just got 2 trailers today because they're pretty big deals in terms of trailers, especially if you're an MCU fan. And we have our MCU expert himself, Darcy Hudson, here to break down a lot of the details for you. So we're going to start. We're going to do it in order, and so we're going to start with the one that's coming out for this holiday season, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which was created, written, and directed by none other than James Gunn, is set to bring festive cheer to the MCU fans just in time for the Christmas season. In it, the Guardians of the Galaxy celebrate Christmas and set out to Earth to find Peter Quill the best present. It's the second Marvel Studios special presentation in the MCU. It stars familiar friends Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Pom Clementif, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, and Sean Gunn. And joining the fun are Maria Bakalova and Kevin freaking Bacon. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is scheduled to be released on Disney Plus on November 25th, 2022, as the conclusion of Phase 4 of the MCU. It's funny. I thought Black Panther was the end of Phase 4, but now they're saying it's this holiday special. I assume this really is going to be the end, and I'm not sure how much this will play into the really big overarching story of what we're getting from Phase 4 as much as Black Panther will, but this will be the last installment. Darce, what'd you think of this trailer?
I loved it. Kevin Bacon would be the greatest gift ever, I think. I'd love to have that. I think I'm really excited. Again, the last special I loved, and I'm hoping, this trailer has me just as excited for the Guardians special because it seems like it's going to be very, again, holiday based. Seeing Drax and seeing Drax and Mantis walk down the streets of LA and just people kind of just looking but not really doing much more than a glance. I can't wait for the antics those two get up to while looking for Kevin Bacon.
Well, because I was going to say that this would be the first time that the Guardians were on Earth, but that's not true, is it? Because
No,
they would have
no.
been there in the final battle of Endgame, correct?
Yes, and I'm sure on Scott Lang's podcast that he would have recounted the aliens he fought with in the battle against Thanos. So they're probably pretty well known, and if people see them, they're just going to be like, "Oh my God, is that Drax? I think that's Drax." Like,
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to walk anywhere, you walk through looking like that, you do it through Times Square or Hollywood Boulevard, and people will just be like, "Damn, those are good costumes! Wow!"
yeah. I mean, story-wise, I think that this series or this special, could focus on filling in that gap for where Gamora is, because obviously James Gunn had a plan when he started writing 1, 2, and 3 for Guardians, and it was a character growth for the found family of the Guardians, and with kind of his creative power being taken away by the Russos and saying, we're going to kill your love interest and she'll come back but then go away because she's different, is kind of leaving that gap for how is he going to explain her return in the next movie with all those other things he's got to bring in with Warlock and the High Evolutionary and all this stuff. So I'm wondering if this movie or this special is his way of explaining where Gamora was in her return to the Guardians without having to worry about jamming that into the already packed movie.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, I could definitely see that. I mean, I wonder if it's the entire sort of explanation and reconnection, or if it at least helps set it up so they don't waste any time in that movie. I think that's a really sharp idea there. I think that's exactly what this could be. And you know, Guardians is already so much about family and you know, families who you choose it to be. And so I think a holiday theme for these characters is the best possible fit. And like you said, the special presentation for Werewolf by Midnight, or I think I'm close to the title there.
By night.
By night, just by night. It's anytime it's dark. No, I think that just showed how awesome these presentations can be and really pick up the vibe of a holiday season. And so if they can capture that old school 1930s horror film vibe like that special did, if they can capture that Christmas movie fun and magic and do it with Guardians of the Galaxy, like them chasing Kevin Bacon down the street there at the end of that trailer is hysterical.
So good. Like, I can't wait for what types of things we get, because again, Guardians on Earth just sets up for so many fun things.
Absolutely. No, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And like you said, I think this will do a great job of sort of reconnecting us with characters who we haven't seen in quite a while. I mean, at least in their own story. They've been a part of other stories, but to really be able to focus on them and get attached to them again and see where they've been and where they're going next, I think this is the perfect way to do that. So, yeah, needless to say, I am very, very excited for November 25th when this hits Disney+. But let's move on to our second trailer here. I'm just going to say, whoever's running that Marvel Twitter, for them to have presented this trailer in a box the size of it's the tiniest possible little box,
like
and then to have it was absolutely tiny, and then to just have the headline, "What is this? A trailer for ants?" Brilliant, excellent stuff, and perfectly fits into the kind of fun we can expect from this movie, I think. Although this one might be a bit more serious and a bit more dire. Our next trailer is for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It's the 31st film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film is directed by Peyton Reed from a screenplay by Jeff Loveness and stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, Catherine Newton, Jonathan Majors, and Randall Park. After the events of Avengers Endgame, Scott, Hope, Hank, Janet, and Scott's daughter Cassie are accidentally sent to the quantum realm, which is featured heavily in recent Marvel films like Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Endgame. There they confront new enemies and strange creatures as they navigate their way around a whole new universe, all while dealing with the threat of Kang the Conqueror. The film presents the first proper look at Kang, the supervillain who can exist across the multiverse in different variants. Regardless of how his character ends up in this particular film, we already know this won't be the last we see of him, as he's scheduled to be the primary antagonist leading up into the 5th Avengers movie, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. All right, Darce, this minute and a half long trailer was absolutely crammed with juicy details. What did you think of the trailer? What stood out to you first?
I loved the trailer, and the first thing that stood out to me is Kang looks incredible, and he looks completely different than the variant we got in He Who Remains. Just his attitude over the few lines we got in this just seems completely different. He is a ruthless conqueror, and not the loopy guy at the end of time that we saw in Loki. So I am stoked to see him bring this character to life and see, again, with the army shots that we got in this, he has a full army behind him, so he is a threat to anywhere in time. And I'm just worried about what job he's trying to rope the Ant-Man gang into in this movie. It's wild.
I mean, lots of people have fears that this can't end well for this group of heroes, at least some of them, just because we know that this is just the beginning of what Kang's going to do in the MCU. And so, yeah, it's very interesting to sort of speculate on what he wants. Okay, so I've seen theories that say he's looking for the rings that Shang-Chi would have.
Oh, okay.
Because of all the symbolism with the rings. Maybe he's looking for Kamala's bracelets. And so people have speculated that it's very much like a Thanos search for Infinity Stones, but with these rings and whatnot of power.
Yeah. Personally, when I heard him saying he was looking for something, I was worried that what if he's looking for the quantum energy that Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Janet, ended up with after her time in the quantum realm. Like, what if she stole the power from him and she knows he's coming for her because she was trying to stop him while she was down there? And like this whole thing, it seems like for a while, a portion of this movie at least, while they're in the quantum realm, it'll be Cassie and Scott and then the Pyms as two separate groups. And I'm worried if they're going to maybe be unknowingly working against each other as they either fight or work with Kang. Like, I'm very confused. This trailer has me super stoked because I have really no idea where it could go.
Oh yeah, it just seems the movie itself just seems so bonkers that it's nice that you're not able to sort of go, oh, I can see exactly what this story is going to be and how it's unfolding. There's no way you can do that. But like you said, it was neat to sort of see, different groupings of our characters seemingly on different adventures, if you will. Now, I will say I'm kind of excited to see Janet back in the quantum realm, because we didn't spend much time with her there. Obviously not nearly as much as time as she spent down there. But it'll be cool to see her in her element, sort of knowing the ropes, right? She'll be our tour guide to sort of explain what's going on down there.
Yeah, like I'm wondering if like there's that one shot of all the like scavengers, it looks like, coming over the hill as they approach Hank and Janet. I'm wondering if maybe that's the faction of people who lived outside this super technological city that Janet ended up working with, and that's how she survived for so long. Because I mean, her gear when we first see her was very ragged and patched together, much like those of the scavengers we saw in that one shot.
Okay. So you're suggesting they might be friend, not necessarily foe.
Yes. Again, I feel like the main foe would be Kang, at least for her, because she's been there before. She must know of this guy who has power and built a whole city in the quantum realm, whereas she's off in the boonies, if you will, with the rest of these scavengers who were tossed out for one reason or another.
Okay, very interesting. I like that idea. Now, how much do you know about the quantum realm from comics at all? Like, has that really been explored in anything that you've read?
Yes. It seems that the quantum realm of the MCU is the comics microverse, which is very similar in that it's another reality underneath ours where you can get to by shrinking down and going between the layers. So very much like the quantum realm. A lot of the stories about that, though, I mean, some of it involves the Chronopolis, which is Kang's city out of time, kind of where he plots his conquerings from. And there's also been other enemies, just like there's other pathways to the negative zone through the microverse. So it kind of is very much this gateway that is another reality that connects more than just the one reality type thing. I mean, we saw in this trailer, it looked like a couple more devil's anuses from the Thor movie up in the sky at one point. So, I wouldn't be surprised if it is some sort of, through tether between realities.
I can't believe you can say something like that, and I'm like, yep, I know exactly what you mean. What have you done to us, MCU, that you've entered these terms into our regular, lexicon of vocabulary, and we're like, yeah, devil's anus. Okay, I know what you're talking about. So would you have any clue that who Bill Murray is playing? On IMDb, it's listed as Krylar. Is that a character you know of, or is that going to be a new character?
It's a name I'm familiar with, but again, the comics universe is so much larger than what we get in the movies, and the movies are already blowing the doors open. So I honestly don't know much about the character of Krylar, so can't help you.
Fair enough. But all I know is that it's Bill Murray in the MCU, which is a let's go. I was very excited to see that because that was something I wasn't aware of before watching the trailer. Now, did we see several different Kangs in this trailer? One was blue, one wasn't.
Yes, so I'm wondering about that because, again, the blue one, friggin' amazing for comic accuracy. The lights and everything like that, it looks just like some of the more recent covers that feature Kang. So that's incredible. I'm wondering, though, if again, we don't know if he's related to Reed Richards or if he's a Stark descendant for the cinematic universe, but if he is a Stark descendant, it would make sense that it was some sort of, nanotech helmet type thing that goes over his face and casts that blue hue while giving him up all the sort of heads up display that we see in an Iron Man suit. So I'm wondering if it's something along those lines or if it's variants. Because again, even in another shot, we see multiple Scott Langs that kind of explode out of one Scott Lang. Like, it was a very trippy shot where it kind of reminded me of Mr. Fantastic turning into Noodles from Scarlet Witch.
Well, yeah, so that obviously, and there was another scene where there was some red magic-looking bursts, and so that has a lot of the Twitter sphere wondering, is Wanda back? Is Wanda going to make an appearance in this movie because of that? Because that was the first thing I thought of was, look, that's some Jim Halpert noodles going on right there.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Again, this trailer has me stoked, if only because I have really no idea where the story's going. I mean, another thought that popped into my head is, there's rumors that Corey Stoll will be returning for Darren Cross's Yellow Jacket, or potentially a MODOK I've seen recently, that his journey to the quantum realm has turned him in to MODOK in some way. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why Janet's so scared. It's because she encountered what was remained of Darren Cross. And again, so many potential things from just such a short trailer. I'm excited beyond belief.
Wow, that's very interesting. I do think that we'll get Mr. Cross back here. Even not to spoil anything here, spoiler alert, just in case. But he is rumored on IMDb to be in the movie, so it will be interesting, and that would be a great tie-in all the way back to that first movie. Which Marvel does so well, and it always just, anytime you can sort of bring those elements together, it just strengthens the overall story being told. But I'm sure we'll learn a bit more as a full trailer comes out closer to the movie. But I don't know, are they calling this a teaser? Because I think so, and like for a teaser trailer, it showed so much without giving anything away, which is always, the goal I think it should be with these trailers.
And Marvel is not above us, or I wouldn't put it past Marvel to pull another Endgame or whatever trailer it was where Hulk was in a shot and then in the final cut Hulk wasn't there at all. Like, they do know how to use these trailers properly, and this is one of the best ones in my opinion because of how little it gives away while showing so much.
Absolutely. Well, just as Phase 4 comes to an end at the beginning of November with Black Panther, we do not have to wait long as Phase 5 kicks off on February 17th, 2023 with Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. So looking forward to it. I know people have been a little up and down on Phase 4, and I think we've discussed even on the show how it's great because there's something for everyone. You don't have to like everything, but there's no way you don't like at least one or two things that have happened. And it looks like they're continuing on with both this holiday special and Quantumania with doing what they do best, and that's giving us different types of projects that all just still somehow seemingly weave together so very well. And so, as Kevin Feige continues to deliver, we'll see if James Gunn can do the same for DC somehow. But again, it's all a waiting game. But that will wrap it up for trailer time. let's move into our final segment of the show. We like to do a little game of Whatcha, where we ask what you've been watching, what you've been reading, what you've been playing, what you've been sort of covering that we wouldn't necessarily cover on the show. Darcy, what you been up to?
Still watching House of the Dragon, because me and my mom are kind of slow on that one. But playing a lot of Pikmin recently. I don't know why I picked that game back up, but Pikmin 3, playing it on Switch, and it is so delightful. I mean, I haven't been doing much except that, so kind of old news at this point.
Weren't you playing a mobile version of that as well?
Yes, and that probably is what got me back into the console version. But Niantic, the company famous for releasing Pokemon Go with in partnership with Nintendo, also released this Pikmin game, which kind of I missed for the first few months it was out. But it's just a game that it counts your steps and you grow Pikmin and collect fruits as you walk around your town and stuff like that. It's very basic, but again, it has that Pikmin charm that got me right back into that game. So it's just, I love Pikmin.
Now, is this Pikmin 3 or Pikmin 4?
Pikmin 3. Pikmin 4 was
so this
announced.
is an older game. That's an older game.
Yes, I played it. It was
so
a
you've
Switch title. Or sorry, it was a Wii U title at first, and it was the deluxe version was released on Switch. So I just got back into an older game because, again, that mobile game, the Pikmin aesthetic is very cute, and it's something that you need every now and then. So,
speaking of Pikmin 4, I'm seeing that it looks like there might be releasing next year. So you're getting back into the franchise at just the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. For myself, Sarah and I, my wife, like many women, I was talking to my dad about this, and he was reading how it tends to skew towards women who are fascinated by serial killers and their stories. And so when my wife saw that there was going to be a drama based on Jeffrey Dahmer, that was a must-watch for us, so we just wrapped that up on Netflix. I have to say, it's one thing to read about all the details. It's another to sort of see them unfold, and the scariest parts of it don't even necessarily involve the fact that he's a cannibalistic serial killer. It's the ineptitude of the police handling this case that let him get away so many times before finally. It wasn't excellent detective work that brought him down. It was stupid, dumb luck, and a mistake made on his part. But so that whole aspect of it is terrifying. But Evan Peters is just so amazing. It's amazing how he can play such a charming, fun character in one project and then play the most vile, awful human being in another. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and he's got several awful characters under his belt now at this point. Like between American Horror Story and some of the other things, it's just like he has so many faces as an actor, and some of them are terrifying.
Yeah, because he'll be the vilest, worst villain on one season, and then on another he's the most charming character. So even within that very show, he's played about 4 or 5 different characters. They've all felt very different, and they've all been terrific. So I've really enjoyed that. And then just sort of on a similar note, because it's another Ryan Murphy project, which Dahmer on Netflix was. But speaking of American Horror Story, the 11th season has just started, and we're only 2 episodes in, but it's the best the show's been in probably 3 or 4 years. So that's exciting to see it sort of return to form after what was a couple really difficult to get through seasons.
Mm-hmm. Just mentioning seasons so many times, I realized I have been watching something else. I've been catching up on something else that I had left by the wayside for a while, and 'tis the season for spooky things. I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows, and I've talked with you about it off air, but man, that last season is incredible. Season 4 is great, and I can't wait for season 5. It needs to come sooner.
Yeah, I totally agree. Season 4 knocked it out of the park. I thought season three had some good episodes, but it had some ups and downs. It felt long, which is weird for a 10 or 12 episode season, but I just wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't have that same oomph that the first 2 seasons had, but it was back in full force. They do some really fun things with Colin's character. Laszlo is just still amazing as always, and I do like where they set it up for 5. You're right, Darce. I cannot wait to see where it goes with season 5.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things from season 4 is the fact that we got different character pairings that we were used to over the last 3 seasons. They started sticking characters together with storylines that you wouldn't expect work together, but again, they hit it out of the park. It's so good. anyone who hasn't checked out What We Do in the Shadows, movie or show, needs to get on that stuff because it's such a wonderful little spooky universe.
It really is, and it is a universe, right? Just because the movies are tied in so much with the TV show. And this year Nandor with a genie is just amazing. That's all I'll say.
So
He's
good. He wastes so many
amazing.
wishes.
Oh yeah,
So
Oh,
many
yeah.
meaningless wishes.
oh yeah. The one where he wants to play on the dream team, and so the genie just brings back the cardboard cutout of the guy. Yeah.
I also, he wishes for his casket or coffin to be closed. And he's like, "Are you sure you
Yes.
want to waste a wish on this?" He's like, "Yes, do it." Like, oh, so good.
Yeah, laziness really does get the best of them there, for sure. That's awesome. All right, well, that is it for This Week in Geek. Thank you for tuning in wherever you listen to podcasts. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and leave us a glowing review. We always appreciate the love. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this week's news, you can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or if that's a little too Castor Troy and you're more of a Sean Archer, let's face off on Twitter at GeekcentricYT and Instagram at WeAreGeekcentric. As always, we have plenty of awesome content to check out. Watch Club season is in full effect as we recently wrapped up our series for She-Hulk Attorney at Law and just released part 2 of our Andor series for the Disney Plus show. Recently, Justin and I attended the Black Adam Rocks Canada event, and we have a recap of the awesome stuff that went down, plus our spoiler-free review of the movie. Darcy and I were able to check out the Clerks 3 Convenience Tour event, where we got to see the final chapter in the Clerks trilogy, as well as a chance to meet Kevin Smith, so check out our thoughts on all that. Plus, we have just a plethora of awesome interviews with cast and crews from some of the biggest and best movies and TV shows to come your way this last year. You can check those out wherever you listen to podcasts, or if you want to see our charming smiles and charismatic eyes, and those of the people we were fortunate enough to talk to, check those out at youtube.com/geekcentric. Plus, just like the show you listen to, we have our weekly This Week in Geek, where we look at all the latest news and trailers from the Geekiverse. And I mean, there's just so much more stuff to check out, so please do so. Leave us a review so we know what you thought. But until next time, guys, thanks for joining us. And as we say,
Laters.
get home safe, guys. Love ya. Peace.